Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome and welcome back to my channel, and today I want to talk about some of the books that I would like to reread in 2022. So we all know how much I love rereading my favorite books, and there have been some that I've been wanting to reread that I just haven't gotten around to, or there have been some that I've been waiting to read until next year. So let's just talk about those books because I'm really excited about all of them. So a lot of these are actually series. So one of the series that I would like to reread is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I'm only holding up Cinder because I don't feel like holding up the whole series, but I do want to reread Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter because I want to read these new editions and annotate them. I've been dying to annotate this series, but I'm gonna be completely honest, I've kind of been avoiding this series for the past like 2 years because of COVID, because they do deal with a plague and things like that. For I think the whole series, but specifically in this book, it's dealt with really heavily. It's like really prevalent in this one. I've been wanting to avoid reading anything that resembles real life too much in this sort of sense, but I feel like I just need the comfort of these characters and this world. So I'm thinking that next year, you know, I feel a little desensitized to the whole COVID thing now. It's not as sensitive for me to like think about as I was when it first started. So I feel like I'm in a good enough place where I can reread this series and deal with the whole plague plotline. I just really adore this series and I really want to reread it and annotate it. I've been dying to annotate more books recently, and these are some of the only ones that I have left to annotate in my collection. So I'm dying to reread these books. If you don't know what this series is about, where have you been? So each book features a new character that's based off of a fairy tale. So this one is Cinder, so obviously Cinderella, then it's Red Riding Hood and Rapunzel, and then Snow White. All of the characters intertwine with each other. They just kind of add on to each other as the series goes on, but this one is all about Cinder, and they're literally done so well. It's a sci-fi series. That was a bad description, but there's like so many things going on in this series. But fairy tale retellings, sci-fi, it's amazing. Like, I don't like sci-fi, so if I like this series, you know it must be something good because I really don't like sci-fi, but I'm obsessed with this series and I'm just, it's such a comfort for me, like these characters. So I'm really looking forward to rereading it and just falling back into this world. I also have not read them physically in a long time because the last time I did a reread, I listened to them on audio. So it's been a while since I've read it physically and I'm really looking forward to doing so. The next series I think is one that I'm most excited to get to next year, and it's one that I've never reread in its entirety, and that is the Bloodlines series by Rochelle Mead. So over the past few years, actually, I was rereading the Vampire Academy series. I literally started rereading it in 2019 and then I finished rereading it this year. It was very stilted, obviously, like I just kind of picked up a book whenever I felt like it, but this one I'm hoping to read more closely together and just within this year. So I want to read this entire series, which consists of 6 books, and I have reread this one before, and I believe the second book, Golden Lily, because I started this like shortly after it came out. I think only the first 2 or 3 books were out, so I read this one and then I think I might have read Golden Lily, and then I just never continued. I was kind of waiting to collect them all first and read them all in paperback, whereas my mom read them all on her like e-reader, but I don't like reading books on an e-reader, so I was just waiting for them to all be published so I can kind of just like binge read them. So then by the time it came around for me to actually read the series, which I did so back in 2017, I had to reread the first couple of books so that I could continue reading the other ones. So I have reread the first 2, have not reread the rest of the series, and I would really like to do so because I did read them back to back. I don't remember what happens in each book. Could not tell you, can't differentiate them, and then in general I have a really bad memory, so I don't remember much to begin with. So it's just a big mess and I really want to reread them. So the series is a spin-off of the Vampire Academy series, which is one of my favorite series, but this series follows our main character Sydney, which I believe we meet in the 4th book of the Vampire Academy series. She is an alchemist, and it also follows Adrian, who is one of the Moroi vampires from the Vampire Academy series. So just to give you like a quick rundown of this world and these series, it takes place in a world where there are vampires. We have the good vampires, who are the Moroi, and then we have the bad vampires, who are the Strigoi, and then we have the half Moroi, half human, who are the Dampiers, and they're kind of like the guardians of the world. They guard the Morois from Strigoi, and that's basically kind of a rundown of the world. So this book just follows Sydney and delves more into like the alchemists, and kind of just follows what happens after the final book in the Vampire Academy series. There's like something big that happens at the end, and this book kind of just like follows through with that and continues on for 6 more books, and it is beautiful, wonderful. Adrian is one of my absolute favorite characters, if not actually my favorite character from this world, and so having like a whole series that like has him as like a main character brings me so much joy, and he's just, oh, he's so good in this series. So I've been dying to do a reread of these books and just kind want to re-experience them because, like I said, I don't remember what happens in general, don't remember what happens in which books, so I'm really looking forward to doing a reread of them. So the next book is Always Never Yours. This is by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegman Broca. This is a YA contemporary that I read back in 2019 when I was preparing to write my own high school theater book, and this book deals with high school theater. It's basically about our main character, and she's never wanted to be an actor. She's never wanted to kind of be center stage. She just wants to be a director, but as a requirement for her college that she wants to get into, she has to have an acting credit, and so she tries out for the play of Romeo and Juliet, expecting to just get a background role and easily fill out that credit, but then she ends up being cast as Juliet, so she now has to be the lead of the play when she never wanted to be. This book was really, really great. Like, I really loved the writing of it and the characters. The romance was so freaking good, and I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did for some reason, but I became obsessed with it, and I've been really wanting to do a reread of it. So I think next year, probably early on in the year, is going to be like the perfect time for me to reread it, and I'm really excited about it. The next book I would like to reread is Of Curses and Kisses by Sanjay Menon. This is the first book, I believe, in what's called the Rosetta Academy series. Maybe, I think that's what it's called. So this is the first book. It's called Of Curses and Kisses. I read this book last year maybe, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then the sequel came out this year, and if I'm gonna be honest, I did not like the cover. I mean, I like the cover, but it's a cover change from this one, and it looks completely different, and so I was really annoyed for the longest time and kind of being petty about it, and I didn't want to buy it. I'm trying to be more selective with what I buy, so I was just kind of putting it off because I also didn't really know what it was about. Like, I didn't really look into the plot of it at all, and it's just a companion to this one. Like, they're not direct sequels, so I was like, I'll just wait a while. But then I actually looked at the synopsis of it, and I was like, oh, that looks really, really good. So I did ask for it for Christmas, so I thought that next year I would reread this book so that I can read the next book. I mean, you don't have to reread this one to read the next one because, like I said, they're just companions, but I would like to reread this one because I did enjoy it, and I'd like to familiarize myself with the world again and the characters, because I believe that the characters in the second one do appear in this one. I just don't remember who they are. So I would like to have that connection in my brain before I read the next book, which I believe is called Of Princes and Promises. I don't really remember what it's about, like how to describe it. Oh, okay. I think I remember now. It's something about our main character who decides to go to this like boarding school to like get revenge on this guy that like started a scandal in her family or something. Like, their families are like rivals, and so she plans to go to the school to kind of like mess with him a little bit, I think, and like get revenge. I think that's what this is about, if I remember correctly. Like I said, I think I read it last year. My memory is crap, but I remember really, really loving it and really loving the characters and the dynamic and the story, so I'm excited to reread this book next year. And the last book that I want to reread is another series, and it is the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. So yeah, I want to reread this entire series. That means Shatter Me, Unravel Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, Defy Me, and Imagine Me. All of the titles sound the same. That took me a minute. And I also wouldn't mind rereading the novellas as well, which is Unite Me, Find Me, and then the new one that just came out, Believe Me. I mean, I just read that, like literally I finished it yesterday as I'm filming this, so I might not reread it next year. We'll kind of see the vibes, you know, we'll see the vibes next year, but I definitely want to reread the other two novellas. But I want to do a whole reread of the series because, just like the Lunar Chronicles, I really want to annotate this series. I have annotated two of the novellas, Unite Me and Believe Me, and I really, really enjoy annotating this series. I love Tahereh Mafi's writing style, so I love highlighting all of the quotes and lines, and I really love the romance in this book, so I love taking note of all of that as well. And then I just really like the plot. You know, everything about this book is great to me, and so I really want to annotate it. So here's my plan, actually. First, let me tell you what the series is about, and then I'll talk about my plan. So this series is so different at the end than what it's like in this first book. But basically, our main character, Juliet, has a lethal touch. She touches you and you die kind of thing. And so she accidentally kills a kid, and then she's kind of put away so she can't hurt anybody else. So I think she's been locked away for like a year. And then the government, called the Reestablishment, decide to take her out of her prison because they think that they can use her to their own advantage. So that's like a very like baseline summary for this book. Definitely does not describe the entire series, but I just love these books literally so much, and I've been wanting to annotate them, like I said. But I've been avoiding dystopian in general during COVID as well, because dystopian books just like feel too close to home. But I really want to reread this series. So back to my plan for how I'm going to reread these books is I'm only going to annotate the first 3 books, so the original trilogy for the series. So Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me. I'm annotating my paperbacks of them, and I only own the novellas in paperback and the first 4 books. And here's the thing, I don't know if I love the last 3 books enough to annotate them. So it was my original plan to buy the new books as they came out in paperback, I bought Restore Me, and then I was like, I don't know if I actually want to continue buying these in paperback. So here's my plan. I'm going to reread the first 3 physically and annotate them, as well as annotating the novellas. And then I'm going to listen to the last 3 on audiobook, because I think the last time I reread this series it was on audio, and I really love the audiobooks. Like, I really love the narrator and how she tells the story. I particularly love how she voices Kenji. He's my favorite character, and so I really enjoyed listening to the audiobooks. And I was like, well, I want to listen to them again, but I don't want to listen to them while I read the physical books, because then I can't annotate. That just seems like too chaotic. So I'm going to reread the first 3 books, annotate them, then listen to the last 3 books on audio, and decide at that point if in the future I would like to annotate them, because then I can just reread them again physically, buy the paperbacks for the last 2, and then annotate them. But if I decide that I don't want to annotate them, then I'll just get rid of the Restore Me paperback that I have. So that is what I'm going to do. So the first 3 I'm going to read physically, the last 3 I'm going to listen to an audiobook, and I'm very excited about it. But I reread lots of books in a year, so I know there's going to be so many more books than just these ones that I'm going to reread, and I have no doubt that I will be able to reread these books. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below if you like to reread books, and if you're planning on rereading anything in particular next year, because I'd really love to know. Subscribe if you have not yet already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!